Greetings YouTube. This is my new cross-slide vise. Well, it's new to me. You can obviously tell it's not new. This is vintage. I don't think it would be considered antique, but it's vintage. And I picked this up at a yard sale for 20 bucks. It's a 6-inch wide jaw, and there's absolutely no way I could afford this much vise for 20 bucks. You know, I couldn't afford to buy one of these new or used, because you're going to be talking probably hundreds of dollars for a vintage piece like this. Though obviously, this damage, it would have reduced the value. Now I got this for a drill press I don't even own yet. In fact, this weekend I plan on ordering myself a new drill press. I currently have a Craftsman drill press, which is only a half horsepower, which is just way too small for me. It's the power is just not there, and I need much bigger. I also want one that's got a bigger table. It's got lower speeds. I think the lowest I can go on this one is 320, and the one I plan on getting, which is a jet model, will go down to 150. So that's much better for the steel, the holes I want to drill. This one also is missing currently missing a return spring, but that's a pretty easy fix if I wanted to get around to fixing it. But thanks to neurodivergence, I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to be getting rid of this one. I actually have someone, I think I'm going to offer it and see if he wants it. Even if it doesn't have a return spring, he can replace that. He's a smart dude. And I'll give him the table and everything. I got to find all the attachments. I currently don't know where they are. But that thing right there is not going to fit on this. This thing is just not going to handle that much weight comfortably, because this thing weighs probably 40 pounds. It is not light. But I'm going to be getting a 20-inch drill press, and that will sit on there quite nicely. It's got 3 slots on each side and 1 on the end for mounting. I will not be using this all the time because I frequently drill a lot of flat stuff, boards, a lot of sheet goods, thin pieces of metal, stuff like that. But this is going to help when I want to do some light machining and be able to drill things so that things are, you know, they're perfectly in line with each other. Now, it needs a lot of work. So I got to take this apart, I got to clean it, and I got to put it back together again. I can't fix these things. I don't have the skill to like braze that in and then refinish it. I know you can do that. I do not have that skill. I don't have the ability to do that kind of work. But I can get it cleaned up. I can file everything so there's no burrs. I can clean it, and I got myself some silicone grease so that I can get in there to the ways and make sure they're properly lubricated. There's a little bit of wobble at the moment. Where's the wobble? There it is. But that's what these are for. So I can get in there, and once I get everything cleaned up, I can tighten this up so that it's going to have as little play as possible. But all the screws are straight. And apparently whoever had this before me, besides being really not well skilled when it came to drilling holes, use blocking, folks. Know where your drill bit's going to go. It's like firing any kind of a firearm. Know where your round's going. Well, know where your drill's going. It annoys the crap out of me. People do things like that. They didn't like having a handle that slid back and forth like this one does. So they put this bolt in here, and I don't know if they drilled their own hole or they just reused a hole that was already there. I will probably not take that off because it works, and that's all I care about. And I kind of like the look. So now I got to start. I have to get a magnetic tray out, so I can, when I take fasteners out, I put them into the tray, and I will not hopefully keep track of them, and then start taking things apart. And I'm quite happy with this. So I'm not a great restorationist, but I think I can get this to be much better condition than it is now, and be a hell of a lot truer than it is at the minute. Well, I have got this about as clean as I can get it, I think. And I've discovered 2 things. One, there's a crack here. Now, this isn't a deal breaker for me because I actually know how to use a vise. Whoever did this cranked this thing way too hard. I don't know what they were doing. I know not to do that. So that's cool. I can work with that. Another problem I've got is that, see this right here? This goes in there. That way, when you put your set screws in there, the set screws tighten on this, and this tightens onto that. Okay? Well, there's supposed to be, oh yeah, one of the 2, but there's supposed to be one on this side, and there isn't. So I've got one of those missing. The problem is, I don't think I have anything that will work for this, because this technically should be a hardened piece of steel. I'm going to see if I can find a piece of steel that size in my shop. And if I can't, I'm going to see if I can find a piece of steel, even if it's mild steel or even stainless steel, I can probably make it work at a hardware store. Because that would then let me put this thing back together and have the proper pieces. But if I don't, I can still put it back together. I can still have it work. It's just going to have to be disassembled at some point in the future when I do get one of these. And I don't even think I have a piece of Delrin that's the right thickness. Because if I had some Teflon that was that thick, I could use Teflon too. That would still work. But I don't think I have Teflon down here. I got some Delrin, but it's all thicker stuff. It's cutting boards. And it makes great jaws and stuff. If you know, like, it makes great components if you want to make jaws for your vices and things. But it's thicker than this thing is. So I'm going to poke around the shop and see if I can find something that is that size. But in the meantime, I'm going to put this back into my what is it, Vapo Rust, because that's all my fasteners are in there soaking, and the jaws are in there too. And so I took these upstairs. I washed them. I've got grease stuck in my hands. I've washed my hands like 4 times, and I still haven't got it out yet. And when it's time to put this back together again, I've got some lithium grease. I'm going to put some lithium grease in there to help move it all back and forth. And even if I can't find another slide, another liner, I still think I can make this work without damaging the thing. It's just going to have to be not quite as accurate as it could be, but also realize that this is going to up my accuracy game so much on its own that it's still going to be a game changer for me. And the reason I didn't take this apart, because I could have, I had the ability. I mean, I could just tap this shaft out. The guy, he just drilled the living shit out of this shaft, and I didn't want to try knocking that out. There's so many burrs on there. I could never get all those burrs off in its position, and I could do it if I got this off, but then I don't know if it would damage this trying to get at the hole, so it would never fit back in there properly again. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and we're just going to work like this. And yeah, it's frustrating. I did clean out this hole, and I'll put that set through back when it's clean. And I still haven't found any markings on this at all. I can find no markings on this. So I think this came with another piece of equipment. All the fasteners are metric, so I'm thinking this might be European. And because it's old enough that I can't imagine that they would have been a metric tool in America that produced. So I think this is a European tool, a European vise. And maybe it came with a piece of equipment. Like somebody bought a German machine, it came to America, and this was part of it, and then it got, parted out for somebody else, or someone shelved it and never used it. So some guy's like, "Hey, can I have this vise?" And then, yep, and it made it to somebody's house. And again, this guy did not know what he was doing. As an example, he drilled all the way through this. Not just a little bit. He drilled all the way through. That's 3/4 of an inch of steel. How do you drill through 3/4 of an inch of steel and not be aware you're doing it? Look at these. This guy was a madman, whoever he was, and he did not know how to use his equipment. Look at the size of these. Impressive in the fact that the bit didn't really walk all that much. I'll give him chops for that. So yeah. So tomorrow, hopefully, I will put this back together, and we'll have a working vise. And hopefully by then, maybe I can get my hands clean. So really happy I still have this. Annoyed about the crack. Dumbfounded about all the damn holes in this thing. Look at that all the way through. And kind of annoyed about that missing slide. I don't know if they call it. Is it a slide? It's a... I don't know what you want to call that thing, that piece of steel in there. I don't remember what it's called. I knew what it was called at one time, but I'm getting old. All right, let's get this, put it back together again and have a working vise again. And hopefully I'll be able to get the play out, at least in this direction, because I'll have the slide in there so that I can tighten it up evenly for the full length, as opposed to the other one where it's going to be point contact, so it's not going to be as an even Steven of a situation. Yep, okay. Jump cut. Here is the vise reassembled, and everything is as clean as I can get it. It's all lubricated. I was not able to find a piece of steel the correct size for this slide here. So if you notice it when I'm moving, the piece I have in there is not moving with the slide. It's because it's too narrow. To get it to be big enough so that I could actually get these screws to like sit into a divot in it so that it would move with it, I need to get a bigger piece. The piece up here does, because it is the correct size. It's got divots in it, so these set screws, these two here, sit in it so that it moves the whole thing back and forth. So at least the set screws are not touching that surface anymore, because that's what they were doing, which I don't want. So at least now I got something between them. This is just a piece of 1/2 inch wide mild steel. They didn't have anything. I really need something that's more like, I don't even 5/8 may not be. 5/8 would probably be close. I may have to like file it down slightly to get it to fit. But I'm going to have to do some research and see if I can find any 5/8 inch flat stock and get that. But other than that, everything looks good, and now that it's as clean as I can get it, it just astounds me how much damage the people that use this. And it makes me think that it was definitely used in an industrial setting, because as someone that's working in manufacturing for 40 years, I can tell you there are people this dumb that work at every single company in the world. Every single manufacturing plant has people that will do things like this that make no sense, where you will look at them and go, why did you do that? And they will not have an answer. It's kind of like working with teenagers. They don't actually understand a lot of the things they do. And it isn't necessarily a gender thing. It isn't a language barrier thing. I've had this same problem with folks from all over the planet. I've had it folks with people who have lived in, whose families can trace their families all the way back to like the Mayflower. Yeah, it's something. I don't know what it is, but sometimes folks just seem to not put two and two together. Yeah. So it works. That's the important thing. And everything I took off went back, so there were no extra pieces. Also a good sign. I didn't quite get that in there, so I'm like playing with the thing, making sure I had it all set up. I pulled this back and this sat there and this kept going. That was the only thing I was like, crap, let's go one further. Because there's a slot in this, so that pin keeps it from moving back and forth. So now I need a drill press. So I have to go call my credit card company and say, hey, I'd like to order something that's going to be much larger than I normally order. So don't think it's fraud, because it isn't. It's going to be me. And then I'm going to order myself a drill press. So that's going to be cool. And that'll make me very happy, though I do have to ship it from like California, which is annoying. And it weighs 284 pounds plus packaging. So that'll be coming down the stairs a piece at a time with my dolly, because I will not be able to get that down the stairs alone, or even with my wife's help. We can't carry something that big, so we'll be using my dolly. I have a really nice dolly, so that will help us get stuff down here. So yeah, really happy I own this. This is just awesome. I cannot wait to start using this thing. The one thing I may have to do is figure out how it's going to be mounted. I don't know that yet, because I don't have the drill press yet to see out where the slots in the table are and what the best way to use them is. Because really, ideally I would like to have 3 holes. If I could get 2 slots, and then the one on the end, that would be enough security for me. Even if I can get away with it, just 2 would be enough security for me to keep it from moving. And then I can do all my stuff. We're going to find that out when I get it. And again, I'm looking at a jet model, which is got a 1.5 horsepower motor and goes down to 150 RPMs, which is going to be so awesome to be able to get below 320, because at the moment I can't go below 320, and I only have a 1/2 horsepower motor, which is really, really not strong enough for what I'm doing. Alrighty. Thank you, folks. I hope you had a good time here and enjoyed looking at my new Vise. And see you in the next gear video.